Hello and welcome back to this series of the Holy Science. And from this video onwards, we are going to start chapter number 1. The title of the chapter number 1 is Vedas. So basically, in this chapter, the basic Vedic concepts related to the origin of the universe, the origin of the all those elements which which constitute a human body, which constitute complete creation of this world. So all those elements, all those concepts have been discussed in Vedas. Vedas is basically the modus operandi of this nature, the modus operandi of this creation. So the modus operandi of this creation, which has been discussed in the Vedas, the basic crux of that modus operandi has been discussed in this chapter. So in this particular video, we are just going to discuss the very first verse of this chapter. So basically, these verses are not directly taken from the Vedas. These verses have been, formulated by Sri Yukteswar Giriji to explain the things in a easier way. He wanted to explain in his own terms, in his own words, right? So that's why he has taken the crux, the essence of the Vedic verses, and without changing their original nature, without changing their original meaning, he is just uh, putting the extract of all those messages which are there in the Vedas. He is trying to put it here. So he has explained those concepts which can explain the modus operandi of this creation. So he has put all those concepts in front of us. So the very first verse is very simple, and we are going to discuss this one only today in this video. And from next video onwards, it will be a bigger video compared to this one. So from this video onwards, we are actually going to deal with the content of this book, right? So what does the first verse of first chapter says? It says that the Supreme or the Parabrahma is a Sanskrit word, and it's like if you say it in English, then it's the Supreme. I have used the word Supreme. So Supreme is nothing but the Parabrahma or the Paramatman, the one who is everything, right? So he is known as the Paramatman or the Parabrahma. So he's telling here that he is eternal. Eternal means no one created him. He has created everything. So it was always there. It is just there. It is not the byproduct or the product of any other reaction. This is the God particle, right? Our science today, whatever it says, like God particle, the same word you can use here. Like it's a God particle, which is the eternal. It is just there. We don't know from where it came. But yes, it is just there. And from this particular particle, everything has been expanded. Everything has been created. Let me tell you one thing very frankly, that I am explaining this book as it is. Whatever has been written in this book, that I am going to explain here. How much I believe from this book and how much I don't believe from this book, or how much I have experienced whatever written in this book and how much I have not experienced, is not the question here, and should not be the question here. So please refrain from putting any comments, throwing any kind of shit on me, like how I can explain these things. This is a book and I am going to explain it. That's it. So that is why I will be putting all those things that has been written in this book. Few things I personally felt, and few things I still have to I still have to feel, or maybe I will not feel it at all in my life, right? But yeah, my duty is to explain each and every line of this book in front of you. Okay? So he is eternal. Eternal means he is just there. No one created it. Okay? He has created everything. He is complete. What does complete means? Let me give you an example. We have our ears, right? We hear from the ear, right? But what is the range of the sound that we can hear from our ear? Is it like every sound in this universe we can hear? The answer is no. We cannot hear each and every sound in this universe because we are not complete. we can only hear the sound greater than or equal to 20 hertz to smaller than or equal to 20,000 hertz, 20 kHz. So this is the range in which we hear the sounds. So you can see that there are creatures, there are chances that any sound below this and any sound greater than this can be produced in this world. You all are science students, right? So from the science, we know that this is possible, that the sound waves whose frequency is less than this and whose frequency is greater than this can be easily can be generated, right? So since we are not able to hear every kind of noise, every kind of voice, that is why we are incomplete in terms of, you know, ears or, hearing senses. Same is applicable for our eyes, right? Same is applicable for our skin. Same is applicable for our, uh, you know, uh, smelling power, right? Like you cannot smell that strongly compared to the wild animals, or for example, the dog himself. You cannot have a smell capacity which is greater than the dogs, or which is greater than the other creatures in this universe, right? And I hope you might have understood now the meaning of the complete, right? And then it is like all in all, he is in everything, right? If we take the example of a bulb, electric bulb, right? Then in that case, this electric bulb is shining because of the light, because of the electricity, right? I should not say light, it should be because of the electricity, right? So bulb is there, right? It gives us the light. But ultimately, what gives the light? It's electricity. It's electricity. It's that energy which is known as the electricity. The form of energy which is known as the electricity, that is the only thing which is getting converted into the light inside the bulb. So ultimately, this electricity has been converted into light, right? This electricity has been converted into light, but light is not electricity. So all the things that we are able to see here in this world, whatever we are able to see, whatever they are, ultimately in all those elements, in all those things, the ultimate power is that God, right? That supreme is there in everything. That supreme God manifests in ourselves in the form of a good man, a bad man, anger, happiness, everything, every kind of feeling that anyone can feel or anyone else can see in you. All those things, all those things are really generated from this supreme, the God. That's why I given you the example of electricity and the bulb. Light is something, but it has been ultimately converted from the electrical energy. So electrical energy is converting into the light energy into an appropriate material. Similarly, the power of God gets manifested into the into various forms of feelings, various bhav. Bhav means the feelings, right? So all those are manifested in an appropriate body, the human body, the animal body, anything it could be. So he's manifesting himself in the form of different things like anger, like happiness, like blessings, like curses. All those things are only generated from that supreme energy. Just like electricity is converted into the light energy, into the bulb. So bulb is that suitable object in which that electricity can be shown in the form of light, right? So I hope you might be understanding what I'm trying to explain. He is all in all the things in the universe, right? These verses are really important for you to understand if you want to go much deeper and much getting much, you want to get much clarity on these concepts. That is why this first verse is really important for you to understand, to get an understanding of all these things. And then he is the real substance. Wow. What does this mean? Real substance. Real substance means it's a kind of substance which cannot be, which cannot be moved back to find out what it is made up of. Real substance gets converted into two things. Always it is into two things. That God has been converted into two things. Everywhere is a duality. Everywhere you can see there is a duality. This nature is dual. So duality is the basic characteristic of our nature in which we are living. But that substance is a real substance. There is no non-duality there. It is Sat, pure, right? Sat means pure. And then it is a real substance, which means that it does not exist in itself in a dual format, but it creates the duality. How it creates the duality, we are going to explain in the coming videos, because all those things have been explained in this book. But just to understand what does this real substance mean, you can just imagine that there is something which is not itself in a non-dual format, which itself not in the dual format, but it is the cause of duality, right? It is the cause of duality. This substance doesn't have, sorrow or happiness. This substance doesn't have those things. All these feelings, sorrow, happiness, all these are in the form of seeds inside this real substance, which is known as the God particle. But since they are there in this real substance, they are generated, they are manifested in the dual nature in the form of sorrow and happiness. Everywhere there is a duality. We are living in a dual world, but that power which generates everything is a non-dual power, right? Sat, and it is pure. In this nature, no element or nothing is pure. You might have understood it in the science. If you read the basic chemistry, if you start reading the basic chemistry from the class 6 or class 7 book, then you will be able to see that the matter has been discussed in those books, right? So they are defining the matter, their purity, and they are saying in the books that, I mean, the writers and the conceptual understanding for the matters has been given in those books, and it is like none of the matters in this world are pure, but that thing is pure, which means Sat. Impurity is because of that. Impurity has been created from him. Duality has been created from him, but he is non-dual in himself. He is pure, right? But yeah, the impurity that you see is the expansion of that power which reacts with the different elements created by himself only to generate the good and bad things. Those good and bad things, they all are impure things. That's the concept here, right? So I hope you might have understood this basic words. And now let us see, there is another thing given here, that we cannot know him from our senses. We cannot feel him from our senses. You might have seen many times that there are some kind of TV debates, there are some kind of news debates on the news channel. There are some kind of debates on the news channels. So some kind of atheists, some kind of theists, they both come together and they both confront each other. The atheists think that the biggest logic they can ever give is that, show me if God exists. If you tell them that, hey idiot, are you able to see everything because you are not complete, or you are complete? If you are complete, then let me know. Can you hear every voice? Can you see everything? Can you feel everything? Can you smell everything? Do you have that power to smell everything? You are not complete in yourself. Your senses, your sensory organs, it has certain limits, right? And this universe, even if you don't believe in God, dear idiot, then also, if you know, for them, I'm using the word idiot. So, if we ask them that if you cannot feel everything and if you don't believe in God, then also you know that you cannot feel everything. Then, if you cannot feel everything, then how you can feel that thing which is the generator of everything, right? So they think that their question is really good and make every sense, but they are nonsense. Their questions are nonsense, and they are themselves idiots, right? So you cannot, you know, uh, just say this thing that why I cannot feel the God, why I cannot see the God, right? You have certain limitations. That particular frequency which you can see, which you can, hear, which you can feel, which you can smell, because of which you can smell. Everything in this world is just because of the atoms, right? If you say that we can smell something, then what does it mean? Smell is nothing but the specific configuration of some of the atoms, of some of the elements. Some of the atoms, their specific configuration. You might have studied about the aromatic compounds in the chemistry. What are those aromatic compounds? They are basically the specific configuration of the atoms, nothing else. So everything in this nature, whatever you can see, you can feel, that has a logical and scientific explanation, right? So the glossary is different, but modern science and our Vedas, they both say the same thing, right? So let us see why we cannot know him from our senses, because we are incomplete. Why we are incomplete, we have understood. Whatever we feel from our senses are the characteristic of that power. I have already explained it, that whatever you feel, like happiness, sorrow, right? You can see something, you can smell something. All those things are just the characteristics of that power, which is known as the supreme power, right? They are the characteristics of that power. These characteristics are not that power himself. Just like light is not the electricity. Light energy is not the electricity that is generated because of the electricity, right? So you might have understood with that example, like that kind of comparison I have done. So I hope that comparison is really helping you, right? If no, then you can just let me know in the comment section, because without understanding these things, you cannot understand the rest of the things in this book, whatever has been written. So we only know the characteristic, but not the source. Why? We have attached ourselves to these characteristics. We have not done it knowingly. It is just the tuning with this nature. We have tuned in this nature inside this body, just like I have been tuned inside my body, inside the body, right? This is a kind of matter where my energy can tune with, where that energy can manifest itself, just like the electricity can be manifested into the light in some kind of electric bulb, right? So the same applies here. We get, just like the bulb, electric bulb, it cannot do anything else apart from giving light. You cannot add any more feature into it, because that is suitable only for giving the light. Similarly, for whatever we are suitable for, we have got the life, or you can say the body, according to that, which is basically the concept of frequency tuning only. But yeah, that frequency tuning in the Vedas or in the scriptures is known as reincarnation, rebirth, basically. That tuning is known as reincarnation, rebirth itself. Right? So we only know the characteristic, but not the source of these characteristics. We can only feel him only when we remove the curtain of illusion from ourselves. This is the main line. How we can remove the curtain of illusion, and what is this curtain of illusion, that we are going to discuss in the next videos, in the coming videos, basically. So once we remove that illusion, basically we are living under an illusion, but we don't know. We understand that illusion as the reality, right? Just like we are discussing here that we cannot hear anything. We cannot hear everything, right? We cannot see everything, we cannot smell everything. But this is just because of the illusion. If we remove that illusion, then we will be finding ourselves, spread across all over, just like that energy has been spread across. This process is known as yoga, or you can say the ultimate frequency tuning, right? It's all about the energy and the tuning of the energy waves, right? So this is, all about the curtain of illusion and its removal, right? We are going to discuss in detail. Don't worry about that. So we will be discussing that. And you need to rise yourself. This has been written. So rise yourself means removing the curtain of illusion. It is illusion only which stops you to feel that reality. Okay? That reality means that God, that supreme. You can only feel when you remove this illusion. Okay? So with this, I would like to say, have a nice day and bye bye. Namaskar. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.